Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Praying with Their Feet, presented by the Harry and Rose Sampson Family Jewish Community Center and the Milwaukee Urban League. Please at this time welcome to the stage Molly Elner, a junior at Nicolay High School and a third-generation family member of the JCC, and Cameron Bogan, a freshman engineering student at UWM and a member of the Milwaukee Urban League's staff this summer.
On the occasion of his first trip to Israel of March 1959, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. shared these words: "Today, we particularly need Hebrew prophets because they taught that to love God was to love justice, that each human being has an inescapable obligation to denounce evil where he sees it, and to defy a ruler who commands him to break the covenant. The Hebrew prophets are needed today because decent people must be imbued with the courage to speak truth, to realize that silence may temporarily preserve status or security, but to live with a lie is a gross affront to God."
On March 25th, 1968, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel shared these words while introducing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to the Rabbinical Assembly of Conservative Judaism. Where does God dwell in America today? Is God at home with those who are complacent, indifferent to other people's agony, devoid of mercy? Is God not rather with the poor and the contrite in the slums? Where in America do we hear a voice like the voice of the prophets of Israel? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a sign that God has not forsaken the United States of America. Martin Luther King is a voice, a vision, and a way. I call upon every Jew to hearken to his voice, to share his vision, to follow his way. The whole future of America will depend upon the impact and influence of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated 10 days later.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President and CEO of the Milwaukee Urban League, Dr. Eve Hall, and the President and CEO of the Harry and Rose Sampson Family Jewish Community Center, Mark Shapiro.
Wow. I wish you could be up here to see what I'm able to see. Good afternoon. I want to give a great thank you to Molly and to Cameron for sharing those profound words with us and speaking in the words of these great leaders who came before. I want to welcome everyone today on behalf of the Board of Directors and the members of the Harry and Rose Sampson Family Jewish Community Center. Welcome to Praying with Their Feet. My name is Mark Shapiro, and I am absolutely blessed to be the President and CEO of the JCC. Today and many days, but specifically on a day like today when we throw open our doors and have a meaningful experience with our entire community. It is our great privilege to welcome Dr. Bernice King and Professor Susanna Heschel to this stage. And as much as it is an honor to do that, it is to stand alongside my friend Dr. Eve Hall and her entire team at the Milwaukee Urban League. But let's be honest, you're out there and thinking, what is the JCC doing here in the first place? And it's true, we might be a bit of an odd couple, the JCC and the Urban League. Maybe this might seem like an odd conversation, but I'm telling you, this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. For decades, the JCC and the Urban League have represented communities in pursuit of equality, justice, and empowerment that everyone deserves. Unfortunately, our communities have uniquely confronted prejudice, intolerance, and unnecessary obstacles that stand between the American dream and the American reality. So this is what we do every day at the JCC. Yes, we have incredible fitness centers and camps, education centers, social services, but at the heart of it all, we love being conveners. We bring people together, we break down barriers, and we create spaces for leadership, for honesty, and today, for bravery. At the JCC, we talk a lot about the Golden Circle, what we do, how we do it, and why we do what we do every single day. What we do is we partner to build a healthier Milwaukee, and that's evident here today, sharing this stage with the Urban League and partnering to bring this conversation to our community. How we do it is that we meet our community where they are. Sometimes it's a 1,000-seat facility like this. Other times it's just on the streets in our community. Today we thank the Pabst Theater for being the host of this amazing event. And why we do what we do? Well, we inspire Jewish journeys. And it doesn't matter whether it's the Torah or the New Testament that is the book that you follow. We are all on this journey together. Of course, this is not the first time the JCC and the Milwaukee Urban League have stood side by side. In fact, we did predate even the marches that we talk about with Dr. King and Rabbi Heschel. It was actually in 1910, and at the time, infant JCC moved into a new home, the Abraham Lincoln Settlement House, which was built with the proceeds from a cookbook by our first president, the legendary Lizzie Kander. In 1919, a new neighbor moved into the same space in the Abraham Lincoln Settlement House. It was the newly found Milwaukee Urban League. 100 years ago, we shared an office space. Today, we share this stage. That's right. For almost 100 years, these two organizations have been standing together, sharing a vision, sharing frustrations, but always sharing hope. A hope for doing something that's right in this community that we both love so dearly. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Eve Hall, President and CEO of the Milwaukee Urban League, who I hope will be our continued partner for as many years as we can collectively serve this community. Dr. Hall.
Thank you, Mark, and to your team for making us a part of this important moment in Milwaukee, and for being a legacy partner for almost 100 years. Along with my board chair who is here, Noah Fitzroy, our other board members, I also see my predecessor, Mr. Ralph Holman, and his wife, our volunteers and our staff. We are thrilled to be here and to listen from the two leaders of a national movement for equality and change, Dr. Bernice King and Professor Susanna Heschel. A Ghanaian scholar once said, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a family. You educate a nation. So make no mistake to assume it's a coincidence that it's female leaders who we will learn from this afternoon. It is important to always remember where we've come from, to respect our past, and to be sure it guides our future. There are great lessons to be learned from 50 years ago to just 5 minutes ago. But let's talk about right now. Right now, we've got to step up our efforts in this country, in this city, on the streets, in our homes. We've got to create more policies that mirror our values, that strive to achieve more peace, and that build more and more equality and economic equity. For the great distance we've traveled in the 50 years since Dr. King and Rabbi Heschel marched over the bridge in Selma, we're not where we need to be, nor where we can be. There aren't nearly enough family-supporting jobs and quality and affordable home options. There isn't enough access to educational experiences that prepare especially those in underserved communities to be as competitive as their counterparts, or access to quality health care for every man, for every woman, for every child. Our voices oftentimes are not heard in equal volumes, and our needs are not always equally met. And yet, there's more hope today than despair, as Mark mentioned earlier. Just being in this room with hundreds of you here in the Pabst Theater, I see strength, I see determination. I see a willingness to celebrate our history together and a commitment to join together to change and improve our future. Since 1919, the Milwaukee Urban League has and continues through its programs and advocacy to empower communities and change lives. We've been a catalyst for social and economic change through employment, education, housing, health, economic development programs. We have focused on helping individuals reach their full potential. We need everyone here to be a part of that change. Just like we need our friends at the Jewish Community Center, just like we need the teaching of Dr. King and Professor Heschel, and just like we need the legacies of their fathers. For any differences between them, not only did Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel look to each other for partnership in the fight for civil rights, they looked to each other for faith. Dr. King considered Heschel his rabbi. Rabbi Heschel considered King his pastor. Like they did yesterday, we must look to each other as partners in the ongoing fight for equality and equity. I have faith in us all, every one of us, to take from this afternoon to do our own praying with our own feet in the roles we have been personally, each one of us, personally and professionally assigned to in this life. Thank you again, Mark, for inviting the Milwaukee Urban League to be a part of this day. We congratulate you and your sponsors for making today a reality.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Hall. You can see when you're looking for a partner, you try and find somebody who has maybe just a little bit of inspiration, and we shot big, and we hit it big. I want to take a moment and welcome specifically today Congresswoman Gwen Moore, who is joining us today, an inspiration to many of us. We thank you for all of your leadership. I also want to thank two special partners who have helped make this event happen. Our good friends at the Herb Cole Philanthropies for their generous financial support of today. And mostly, I really want to reach out and thank our friends here at the Pabst Theater who have made today an easy process and have sponsored to make sure that this event could be free and available to everyone in this community. You know, Dr. Hall mentioned it's not just a coincidence that it's two daughters here today that will be guiding us. As a father of two young women, I share Dr. Hall's enthusiasm for the opportunity to learn from these daughters of legacy